Hey everyone, it's Joe Glines and Jackie Stuck. We were just starting. I forgot to hit record. Jackie reminded me, so just wanted to get this recording here. If you haven't seen it already, I've been doing some one-on-one interviews. If you're interested in interviewing, please reach out. There's a link which you'll get in the emails, or just search for me and you'll find the link to where the interviews are. Also, please go back and re-register if you had registered, because unfortunately there actually was only 3 registrants. Something got a little wonky in things, and so please make sure if you want to register to re-register. And then what I was saying is, next month we're going to have AHKGen do a webinar on AutoHotkey, and that was where I was just asking Jackie to expand a little bit on the difference with AutoHotkey and why it's really cool.
Yeah, and okay, I haven't used it enough myself to really get into why it's really cool, but what I do actually know about it is he has done stuff over the years that help you in places when, let's say, you're using memory pointers and stuff like that, or you're doing structures and stuff like that, and it can become really useful, some of the stuff he's done there. And what I've recently looked into was actually to crypt compiled script, and AHKGen has done some stuff with AutoHotkey there, where it's actually putting it in before compiling the source of AHKGen. So you get a harder encryption, or at least one a bit harder to break than with the one we currently have with AutoHotkey. So that's one of the interesting things, is if you have something that you're sharing, you want to keep to yourself, it could be interesting to look into AutoHotkey. Yeah.
To restate that, what Jackie's saying is, right now, if someone gets your executable, they can basically decompile it and almost see exactly what your code is, right? And with AutoHotkey, it's easier to add in a password, which will restrict when they try to decode it, what actually comes out of it, I think, right? Does that sound a good summary?
Yeah, it's a fine summary. And Mike, within the chat, he also mentioned multi-threading, which is, of course, one of the big things with H. Yeah.
Cool. So anyway, that's next month. And then actually, I think the following month, I was talking to Jean, which I got to ping him. Oh, there he is here. Sorry. Hi, Jean.
Yeah. Just John. Yeah.
And maybe it's the following month or the month after, somewhere in there. He demonstrated how, with his tool QAP, he added using the SQLite database to basically do queries off of a log file. Well, not a log file. With AutoHotkey, he's connecting to the SQLite database and writing a log of what happens in his tool. And then he is able to use SQLite to pull some interesting metrics. And so he's going to give us a walkthrough at some point of, I don't know, with QAP or what, but just a demonstration of that technology, because I thought that was really cool. And he did it in a very short time period. We were talking about it on a call, and a couple days later, he's like, hey, you got a minute? I've actually incorporated this already, and I was stunned. So anyway, so that'll be a cool one as well. Yeah. All right. So for our script highlight, there's a tool which I thought was interesting, and it's interesting to me is that it's a website you go to, which is this AHKGen, and you come up here and I'd say, hey, let's click Control Alt and let's put in F, Control Alt F. I don't think I have a hotkey for that. And I'm going to add a comment, just a test. And when I do Control Alt F, I want it to send input, and it's going to send, look, hello world. I'm so original. And now when I hit submit, it is going to show me, here is your AutoHotkey code to do that, right? So for a true noob person, for doing simple things, this can allow people to do some basic stuff. And if you click this example here, this page will give you a bunch of examples of things that you can do. And so you can activate a current window, launch a program, and do whatever. But let me go back one to here. Oh, and let me get rid of this. I'm going to put it in the chat while we're...
Yeah, I actually don't know who actually made the site, but yeah, only we know who posted it on the forum. Other than that, we haven't actually dived into who made the site.
You know, when it was on the post where I found it, you're right. Oh, wait, no. I think I cited it. Come on. This M. Schaefer 1, if I recall correctly, when I read actually in here, I think it's his GitHub as well, which of course in PowerPoint I can't just click the darn thing. But the post I found on the forum said he was talking about how he had created this and posted something to it, and not many people had actually checked it out yet. And so I'm pretty sure that he is the author.
Mm-hmm. Can you hold Control down and click it?
No. But what I can do is I can hit Control K to, like, I'm going to update it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this will take us to the GitHub, but that's fine.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, okay, you could switch it to display mode, of course.
That's right. I can switch to display mode, but then it might switch screens, you know. And
yeah, I know.
I thought that would be a cool thing to write in AutoHotkey, right? To highlight something, hit a different hotkey, and have it give you the syntax. So M. Schaefer 1, I think this is his repository. Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was a neat implementation, and especially for people who are very new to AutoHotkey, it might be a cool thing to make it simple for them to play with some stuff. All right, moving on. So the topic for today, which of course I didn't actually put on the slide, which I should have, was basically being able to use AutoHotkey to automate some stuff in like an Android app. And Jackie, who has done some of this with AutoHotkey, he mentioned he was the one that actually, and I realized, Jackie, after when we discussed having this as a topic, this should have been the topic, like, 4 webinars ago, because we're using a lot of the things we used in the last 4 or 5 webinars in this one here, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it would have made more sense for people in understanding, like, as we're demonstrating each one, the actual usage they would have seen first, right? It doesn't matter, but it dawned on me of like, this would have made a lot more sense if we had it first, and then explained as we went along. Okay, here's a way to do this thing. Anyway, the Nox player, or Nox, is the emulator that we'll use, and that just means I can run it on my desktop, and it's going to look. And let me switch to it here so you can see it. It looks like it's an Android app, so to speak, where it's the environment, and I have apps in here. So that's the Nox player. And then to view traffic for the API traffic, I'm going to use Fiddler 4. It's Fiddler, the 4th version of Fiddler. And then Fiddler, in order to get past the security and stuff to see the decrypted traffic, you need to install this cert maker. And so, again, we'll give you the links to these. And real quickly here, I'm going to go to the next one. And at a high level, because I was telling Jackie, I'm like, it was more confusing than I had expected it to be. But basically what you do is first install Nox. Let me go back to here first. So first install Nox, and then install Fiddler 4, and then install this. And after you've done that, in order to see your traffic, you need to go in and first configure Fiddler. And let me bring up Fiddler. Fiddler, actually, by the way, I think it was both. In our API webinar, we talked about demonstrating how to use Fiddler to look at regular API traffic. I think we also mentioned it in our web scraping tutorial.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. But this here will show you traffic across, like if I actually went somewhere in my browser, it would show you the API calls and the traffic that's happening on my network. The first thing you do is come under Tools and Options and click HTTPS and add this, click this button and this button. And I think I don't think this is necessary. I clicked it I didn't want to have to worry about it. But then when you do that, you have to restart Fiddler because it takes a restart to take effect. After you do that, then I'm going to close this, not that one. Then for the Android stuff, so you mouse over this online button here, and in the second row, it's kind of funny because I can't point to it, but from the bottom, see the IP address 192.168, and I don't know why it doesn't say 0.154. So you make note of that IP address, and that happens to be mine, which I think I listed. No, I didn't list it on this page. But anyway, you make note of that, and then that's where I'm at here. Then you go to your phone, to your Wi-Fi settings. Well, sorry, I say your phone, but you go to your Knox emulator, and actually, so like on this, I don't want to. I'm going to come here and say go to Tools. Come on, Tools, Settings. To now, I'm going to long click. I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to hold it down again. And when it does that, it's going to come up here. Granted, remember, this is recorded, so don't try to memorize all this.
I don't think that was a long click.
No, no. There it goes. And thank you, Jackie, for pointing that out, because I would have been very confused there. Then after you long click it, click this modify network. And that's where you'd put in, this is the IP address. So I'm trying to find Fiddler. Here we go. Here's Fiddler. Here's this. And I can't even use my screen clipping tool because when I move my mouse, it goes away. But see the IP address? And of course, I should have had this up here. That was where I entered it here. And then the port is 8888. And that's basically it. You save it. Yeah. And I think actually you have to click the show advanced options first, because that's not typically there. So that's part A of this. After you do that, then you come back into your settings. And was it security? Do you remember, Jackie? We were looking at it.
Yeah, it was security, yeah.
So actually, this one, I am going to use my screen clipping tool. Come on. And so here's security. And then, so right here, sorry, there's actually one other step on that in between. Sorry. And I can actually, it's funny because I have it right here on the screen clipping tool. So on your Knox, like I said, it's a complex, unfortunately, it's a complicated process. But I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to open Chrome, and I'm going to go to this address, this IPv4.fiddler : and then the port 8888. And then when you do that, you're going to see this right here. Well, when you then you click this, and it's going to download it. I think here it's going to ask me if I still want to download it and save over or whatever. It shouldn't have said that, but anyway, when you click this, it will download to it'll ask you if you want to download it to your device, and you say yes. And so after you do that, that's when you would then come back into, let me go back up here to settings, tools, settings, security, and install this. Then you would click this install from SD card, and you would find it wherever you had saved it. And I've already done this step, so I'm not going to do it, but basically wherever you've saved it, you would click to it and then tell it to install that certificate. And once you've done that, then you're basically done with the vast majority of your setup stuff. And I'm sorry if that's confusing. The part is it's just the way it is. I found some decent videos that talk through it. And then we'll of course have this recording, but hopefully that makes sense to most people. So after you do that, right, then you're basically good to go. And we're gonna demonstrate here a couple of things you can do. So actually, let me close that. Come back into here, and we're just gonna go back to the top. And let me do this first here in Fiddler. So in Fiddler, I'm going to clear out my traffic. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start I'll start Facebook. And see the API traffic over here? If you didn't add that certificate, by the way, these, especially the HTTPS stuff, would have been, I think it was 403. Does that sound right, Jackie? They're they're basically, it's a virtual tunnel. That's not quite VPN. And you won't see anything. But in here, you can literally come in here, and you know what I should have done? Instead of doing that one, because this one makes it easier, let's do Chrome. And again, I'm gonna clear all this traffic out. Oh, and of course it's still, come on, remove all. And in Chrome, Oh, and we'll do, there you go, John. We'll go to quick access pop-up. And now here I can see an API call to that location. And inside Fiddler, I can see the traffic that this app sent to where would that be to, Jack? That would be to the...
It's a GET request, so that would be to the actual server.
To the quick access pop-up server. And up top here in Fiddler, up top here is the server, the request that was sent, and this is what was returned.
Yeah.
So here you can actually see, you can peek into the app communication. Now, in one example where when I was doing this, actually, I got someone was wanting me to decrypt. They wanted to back into this Cars to Go app, and so in this one, I'm going to click it here. And if we come back into Fiddler, what's interesting, and if we find something, I think these are them, the data was still encrypted. So the payload, I believe that would be, does that sound right, Jackie?
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, I could see the actual API, the headers and things, but the payload was still encrypted. So unfortunately, I couldn't get around that to see the API traffic. But that doesn't mean you can't actually automate anything with it. It just means I can't see the API traffic. And so this is where these three things right here. So this one we just discussed right now, but the detecting presence of images, the very last webinar we had, which Jackie covered, was showing how he had shrunken down the image and then kind of grayscaled it, right? And then was able to very quickly and easily detect if it was on the screen, right? And that basically you could detect if this Cars to Go was, of course, that wouldn't be too great in this one because there's 80,000 of them, right? But it's still, you can detect things with it. So that was really the use case that he had for it at the time, why he came up with it, was he was doing that with an app. The second one, which also happens to be the same thing where he was doing it, was you could perform OCR on the screen. And then the third one, which we had covered in a different, I think in a webinar, but it was the highlight script, the find text.
It's come up a few times, the finding text one, both by people attending, naming it, and us showing it. Yeah.
So let's demonstrate so I had that find text tool here. So I'm going to go back to capture. And let's capture, let's do the Facebook. So here's what that looks like. I'll keep it grayscale and simple. I'll trim a little off the right. And now I'm going to say, and I'm going to put it here so I remember. That's a comment. Now when I hit OK, this is what it basically converts it to. This right here is the code. And I already have a AutoHotkey function right here, or not a function, but a command written. So I'm going to save this and reload it. And now what I basically did, I could click this and test it, but it wouldn't click it. It would just move to it. So now I'm going to hit my hotkey. When I do, you should see my mouse move, hopefully down to here, and it's going to click that button for me, right? It's going to basically, it's looking at my screen. It's looking at all my screen everywhere, but it's going to find that hopefully and move my mouse there and click it. So when I hit my hotkey, there it goes, and there it went. Yay. There's hope yet. So, I automated basically clicking that app inside the emulator. The second one, just to demonstrate, so after Jackie's kick butt one that he did on the OCR stuff, and in the middle of the webinar, I'm like, dude, I realized, with my screen clipping tool, so let's say I was highlighting this, right, and I've now grabbed this as an image, but what I did was I said, you know what, now I'm going to hit Control-T. And so right here, it went and ripped the text from here and grabbed it, and now that's on my clipboard. So if I actually come in here and paste, you'll see I grabbed that as text, right? So that is using OCR, using the actually that's the screen clipping one, but using OCR, I was grabbing the text that's here. So it'd be another way, which is what Jackie did. I mean, he was grabbing preset areas, right? And that my screen clipping tool makes it handy because I can dynamically move things around. But in his, it was like, hey, after you click this button, look here and get that text, right? And if that was the, like, do I have it open? Let's go back to that Cars to Go app. If I was looking at it and I looked at something, I could say, hey, click this one, and then go down here and get this text and get this text, right? And then, actually give it and save it as text and drop it into a tab limited file or whatever I wanted.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know that was a little fast. Apparently I had too much caffeine earlier, but that was the gist of what we had to cover. I think there's, like for me, I did this because, interesting enough, the Cars to Go, they don't have a website. I'm sorry, they have a website. They don't have a website that has access to their data. And so we had to go about this way to get it. So it was an interesting thing, or you could automate, in games that are on a tablet, or the Google Maps, or I actually thought of, because like the LinkedIn interface on the LinkedIn app is different than what's available on their website. And I gotta think, I haven't tested it, but I gotta think on LinkedIn, if you go over, I think it's 1,000 profiles a day that you view, you'll basically lock your account for the day. But I'm curious if I did it with their app, if it would still lock my account. I'm hopeful that they don't have the same restrictions because they think it's not being automated.
Yeah, Joe, if you clear your history in Fiddler now,
Yeah.
and in the Cars to Go one, let's say you click on one of those blue ones, then it will actually make a pricing car to the last one. That was the one it seemed to make. Was it not? Or did it actually also make the Google API one?
I believe it was both.
Oh, it was both.
Yeah.
Because that one there didn't return anything, or can you click on the raw on the response? It did actually return something. It's just not much.
Yeah.
And what did the interesting thing was just, if you could create these responses without the app, just do it in your browser on your desktop,
right,
in IE or something, because what you have there, the thing I'm seeing there, that looks like something you could copy out and feed to Chrome as is.
Gotcha. Yeah, and this actually, it's funny, and maybe I was wrong when I first, because I looked at it a lot, but I was trying, when I was doing it, I was trying to find, this is the map one, right, in the Google Maps.
Yeah.
Which maybe I didn't care about that, but there were like this offer one, or maybe I don't think that was there when we did it, but I never saw anything like any of this text, the things, especially like if you look at one of the San Jacinto, there was a way to, reserve, here we go. Let's click that. Oh, I'm not even logged. Oh, that's weird. Boy. Oh.
Hey, you don't have to log in right now, but yeah.
I don't remember what. Yeah, I didn't mind logging in. I was just trying to remember what account I had used.
Yeah, I found it more interesting to actually see the HTTP calls that happened within the app, but yeah, not all of them might be going through the HTTP proxy, so you might not see all of what's actually going on.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It was just interesting if you could actually make the same call to their web server, because it's still a web server.
Sure.
So even though you're making it from the app, if it was possible, it could have been to make it from, let's say, IE, and have it return something, even though it couldn't display it correctly, it might still have had useful information for you.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, to me, this just opens up a lot of other possibilities. I know when I was doing it with Chrome and stuff, I could see very clearly Like let's come back to here. I should have cleared it before I did this, but I'm gonna come into Chrome. And then let's clear all this. I'll say taco, and
Yeah, it's probably the blue one.
think so.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Yep, there you go. So this is why I did it. Was I'm like, oh, I can actually understand. I know with the API calls, the Q is the query, I guess, is what Q stands for.
Yeah.
But it's how it's the key value pairs and what it's passing.
Yeah, and the OQ, I actually think that's object query. It's the same thing, just behind the scenes code. Yeah.
But it allows us to see what, without doing that, adding that certificate, I couldn't see any of this stuff when I tried it. So I had to, actually that's what it was. Sorry. Yeah, before I added the certificate, Fiddler wouldn't see any of the traffic of the app. It was not visible at all. And I had to change a couple settings. I gotta apparently send Brad the link. Where let me get this real quick.
So yeah, even though the showing of how you can actually get to this, it might be, what am I gonna use it for and stuff like that, but you could easily get into something where you could actually decode something useful by going this way. And as Joe showed, some apps don't have a desktop equal, so you could easily end up in a situation like the one Joe is in here.
Yeah, so on this one I did what I could with the that Cars to Go, but again, I'm not a programmer, right? And so my client wanted me to find someone that could do it. So I went on to Upworks and found people who say this is what they do for a living. And I said, hey, openly, like, hey, I tried this, and I put it in the Cars to Go and I tried to decrypt it, but the actual payload was still encrypted. And I'm like, maybe I'm, have no idea what I'm doing. That's perfectly a possibility. But they wrote back and said they tried everything and that for them, the data was still encrypted as well. And so they would not be able to they wouldn't be able to extract it from the API call. And that was where I'm like, well, you know what? We can still, programmatically or not. Well, we can interact with this, do OCR, and it's going to be a little more painful, but we could still get info out of the app. It's just not going to be as fun and easy.
Yeah, exactly. You got him in, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey, Brad. Everyone saw you ping me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that Brad's here, we can wrap it up. No, I'm kidding. But that basically is, like I said, the concepts were really cool. Does anyone have any questions about that? I might go back, and especially on this slide, I didn't want to do it before the webinar because I had it all working, but I will uninstall the stuff and I will record a video of me doing it because it's not simple. It's not fun. It took me a while, and like I said, it was so kind of tricky. I didn't want to not have it during the webinar set up properly, so that was why I didn't document it yet. But I can go back and remove everything and then record a video demonstrating it, because it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah, and one thing that just hit me, and it's not to actually bum you out or anything. Yeah, the first line there, use Fiddler to examine API traffic from app call.
Yep.
Both of those things are completely outside of the AutoHotkey realm, because we, at least you and I, have no idea how to actually put in an AutoHotkey middleman there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it was for me. You're right. But for me, it was, hey, we can once we can see that API traffic, I can probably create a WinHTTP request to mimic what the actual app was doing. And getting back to, like you said, I could either do it with the browser, or maybe I can mimic it with HTTP request to perform those API calls and not have to go through the app. That was my end goal of what I was hoping to be able to do. But boy, you gotta, when there's authentication and stuff involved, it adds a lot of complexity to it. Still doesn't mean you can't do it. It just
no, I'm happy we showed it off, because other people could end up in this situation, and still with the other 3 lines you've showed, detecting images, doing OCR, finding text and stuff like that, is good tools to have at hand when you hit a snag like this, where you simply cannot get to the perfect scenario, where if you could actually have gotten access to the data, you could have worked from there. Right. But instead of just saying to the guy, I can't help you, you still had more tools.
Yeah, what I told him was, hey, what I could do, what I know I could do, and I didn't do it because I was waiting to see if he wanted, if the client was going to, because he wasn't the end client. But I said, what I could do, easily do, I know I can do this, is I can manually come in here, and click one, and then hit a hotkey and have it grab it. And then I would just click the next one and hit a hotkey and it would grab it, right? And I'm like, is it perfect? No. But I could burn through these things pretty darn quickly, and much quicker than someone typing them by hand.
Joe, can I get you to clear your history and then load up this app?
You want it loaded from scratch?
Yeah. Just remove everything. I'd actually like to see if what you are viewing is a special Google map with those nodes on it, because I could believe that you might be able to actually load that.
How do I close? I was going to close these first.
Swipe them somewhere.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to close all that. Then I'm going to clear this out just because I didn't want to have it there. All right, and now I will launch it.
Just to see if there is some kind of Google Maps something. There's a Google Clients for Google Map API there. Maybe the one above that one. Yeah. Right now you have it at web forms. Can you switch it to maybe headers or something, raw? Okay, so that's kind of scrambled as well. Just because you had one just a moment ago where everything stood quite clear.
Well, I think when you're interacting with the Google map itself, like some of that stuff is pretty clear. It's when you get back into having their data that no.
You had the one that was blue up there. I didn't see if it was in the 20s or something. Yeah, that one there. That's at least something that's going to the Cars to Go app thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's doing, but it's returning something that looks header-wise okay, but you have an E tag, you have different stuff. What does the raw tab on that one say? It doesn't say much. Yeah, it's probably something you could use if you were trying to do more with it, but as you've kind of ended up not getting too far away. You have on the 25 line, you have one that goes to Cars to Go API thing. Parking spot location Austin OARC. Okay, no sniff. Yeah, they're doing what they can to kind of keep it to themselves, it seems like.
Kudos to them, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. That's probably a good idea. But the interesting part was just that maybe you could find the actual Google map, the one with all the blue spots on it.
Yeah.
Because it just looks like a normal Google map.
Yeah.
That's loaded within the app, yeah. But if you actually found the address to that, you could probably load it up in Chrome or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what that would give you, but at least you'd know all of the locations of the blue.
Right, and if that was my only goal, part of it was to get the locations, but they also wanted to know the rates, for the car and the type of car. But even then, programmatic, if I could get the locations, it still might be faster, right, to do part of it and then switch to the other route for the other things.
Yeah, that was just the thing that just hit me. That's the only thing.
So just to reiterate, that each one of these is an API call going to a server somewhere, and that's where it's like it can, even though you can filter them, it's still like it can be a bit of work. I know years ago Jackie helped me when I was using LinkedIn, and what was it? It was something with I think I had a different license in we were looking at it and we realized we could, instead of using the browser stuff, we actually used Fiddler to decrypt, to see and do. We did HTTP requests instead of using the browser and manually doing stuff. And it was, oh man, it was lightning fast. It was awesome.
Yeah, we figured out that because web pages is just run by these calls back and forth, and most people that work with this might know it, but we at the time at least didn't know as much about it. But yeah, we kind of picked all of LinkedIn's functionality apart and made everything headless. So yeah, that was great times.
Which is, I'd say, Jackie did 99% of it, but I will say this: it really helped. I think even for Jackie, the two of us noticing things and saying, "What about this?" Right?
Yep.
It helped like move us forward because it was complicated.
You had the clear goal of what you needed, which is always good in a situation where you're just looking at a lot of data, which really helps when someone actually wants a specific part of the data. So yeah.
All right. Well, if no one, does anyone have any questions? Any questions about even usage or ideas, or are we crazy? Is it cool? I think it's pretty cool. It's neat. I don't know how often I'll use it, but I'm glad to know it's in my back pocket if I have to use it, right? That I can.
Knox as a separate thing is if you go into your files in Knox. Sorry.
Saying go here?
Yeah. Just go to File Explorer or something. Yeah. Under maybe Android, I can't remember. Most likely under data. Yeah. Try that. The cars to go there. com.cars to go. That was enough. Then go to, do you have an AutoHotkey script running or anything? You can make one quickly. Just make one quickly.
Make one where?
Yeah, just a test script.
You mean on my computer?
Exactly.
All right. Well, use this one. Yeah.
Yeah, and just make a run command. And I don't know if you need the path to Knox. It depends on if it's an environmental value, but type in the path to Knox exit. Can you do that?
I don't know where it is. Let me find it. Clearly, I do this a lot. Is it under program files? I take it.
Yeah, it most likely is. You could probably right-click the shortcut to it and see the path there.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So far so good. So when you have that, okay, yeah, it's fair enough. Put it there. So if you run that now, it will simply just run Knox. And do that.
Is it going to open another? version?
Just opening Knox. So if Knox is already open, it will just make it active.
Okay.
It's a built-in feature of Knox. That's all that happens. The next thing is I can't remember if there is an actual command or if you just put in a space and then type in the name of the package, com.cars.go.
So right here?
Yeah. Remember, it's still a string, so probably a good idea to
do what?
To include it within the quotes or add in a space or something.
Like
yeah.
that?
Yeah, try and run that. Or at least close Knox first.
Shut it down entirely?
Or just close the Cars to Go app if it's not closed.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta hit the other one. I'll close both. Okay. All right. So and now run now?
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Okay, so it had an error. So it probably needs
did it need some of that path? You said it was Android data. Like, do I need Android data or at least data?
No, you shouldn't need anything other than just the actual path. Nothing more than that should be needed. I'm just looking through a script here on my end to see if I had the example of thinking about, because it can actually be quite useful.
Sure, you're triggering and launching the app is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of waiting for Knox to load the home screen and then finding the app to click, you just pass it as a parameter to Knox within a run command, and then it will automatically start the app as soon as Android has started. So that was the general idea. And for some reason, I can't find the example I was looking for. Of course, why would I?
Right.
Yeah. It's here somewhere. Let me try this. Okay. So you actually need a command. Of course you did. So if you put in, included still, and remember to keep it within the quotes. Yeah, exactly. And do what's that? A minus?
I'll fix it. Just hold on. It's weird. I hit paste, but it lost it. Anyway, all right, we're good. So here, minus.
Yeah, minus. Yeah, package. Colon. Like that. Run it like that.
Okay. Let me shut that back down. All right. Oh.
So now it's erroring out on something else. Cannot find the file specified.
Do I? No.
That's kind of weird, I think. Yeah, but I did believe that the space should have been there. But
it may still just launch the first part, but not do the second, right?
It's probably due to the quotes of AutoHotkey believing it to be one file name with a space in it. That's my guess. Oh, I don't know if it works when you actually have a login code on there.
By the way, that password, when you go to change the settings on adding the certificate to the Fiddler certificate, look at that, it did launch it. I didn't click anything. It just took a while. That's interesting, but it requires you to have a password so I trust me, I don't want a password, but when you set up that certificate, it requires you to have a password. something with Android. I don't know, understand it.
It's probably fair enough because you're probably unlocking some very heavy security stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah. The tutorials I watched said basically you're compromising your device. They're like, don't make any mistakes about it. You are completely compromising the security. You know, you got to know what you're doing when you're doing this.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just a little thing with that. Knox has a few of those command line parameters you can pass to it. Not as many as you'd like, but there's a few. There's also the minus quit will quit Knox completely.
So I'm going to copy these two as an example, and we'll put them in the deck.
And there is more online. I actually looked into Knox quite a bit and ended up finding the Chinese development site for it, where it's no longer called Knox, but they have quite a lot of tutorials on how to use Knox and what you can do with it. But of course, everything is in Chinese, so at a loss.
Yeah.
And Google Chrome, or Translate, I meant, didn't really help that much.
Yeah.
I could get an idea of what I was looking at, but I couldn't actually understand much. So, but some of it can be found. What you can also do is you can use the what's it called, Android Data Bridge, which is included as well. That's an actual Android tool you could use with your phone as well, but it's also included with the Knox.
Oh, okay.
So if you go and find your Knox installation folder, I believe it's there.
Oh, actually, so I don't know why in the world that put it on the D drive. I don't remember installing it there. So what was it? D program? What D? Why do I have a program files under D? That is so weird.
Yeah.
Where am I going from here?
I think go into, where is the actual exit? Isn't that there?
Into the bin. There we go.
Most likely in the bin.
Yeah.
There should be one called AP something, AD. It's not there. Try and go further down. There, ADB, that one. If you use that one in a run command like the one you just had, you could do a search. I can't remember all of the commands, but if you did a Google search for ADB commands, you don't need Knox there because this is a normal Android ability. So you completely don't need Knox because you can just use Android commands. It's the Android Data Bridge.
Oh, okay.
So so here you have it actually lets you do shell commands on the Android device. So you have access to some quite powerful stuff, but not so much user interaction stuff. But you could, let's say, take an image, or you could send keystrokes, or you could send touch information, or drag information, stuff like that.
Wow.
You don't have that much speed, but you have precision because you're sending it programmatically. So it will not misinterpret what you are saying. So let's say you wanted to drag an exact amount on something.
Yeah.
This would be a good way of doing it because you can make sure that it's not missing input because you're sending mouse command to the window that's then blah blah blah. Instead, you're actually sending.
Yeah, I get you.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. Well,
and I don't know how many. Yeah, run rate. That's also worth remembering for some cases. That can be a good tool. But yeah, I don't know how many commands you actually have access to with the ADB, but at least 2 handfuls or something like that. I haven't looked into it enough, but I know that they're there. But most of them has not been something I've had a use for yet. Like making a new image of the device or whatever it might be, or but you could probably, I don't know for sure, but maybe you could install a certificate like you did programmatically instead of actually going through all of the clicking commands.
That would be worth it because it was not fun.
No.
Cool. ADB, so Mason says ADB also allows to flash recoveries and unlock bootloaders. So anyone who may use it, make sure you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody have any other questions? Jackie, do you have any other tips or anything on the general topic?
Oh, not right now. I need to
drink something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead. We're right at the hour. I'm going to stop the recording here, and then we'll start it back up. So hold on a second.